Greetings and konnichiwa, and welcome to the Onyx Tavern. I'm your host, Rick the Bard. Keep bringing you episode 134 here at the Tavern, presented by HeroTaku.com. So last week, Collider came out with an article stating that in 2017, in addition to getting the third Power Rangers movie, the Power Rangers will end its contract with Nickelodeon and move exclusively over to Netflix. And in addition to that, we would get an adaptation of Ninja as Power Rangers Shuriken. Now, a number of people wanted me to go ahead and comment on this at the time that this article came out, but I was kind of hesitant on reporting on it at that time. One, because the previous podcast I had, my information speculation was out of date by the very next day after I put up my podcast. So I actually wanted to wait just a little bit before I said anything, because I kind of got the feeling if I said something, then, it'd be out of date, and, it wouldn't matter. You guys would probably skip it anyway. But I want to give it time to go ahead and percolate, and again, get some additional facts to it, because honestly, it really raised a lot of flags. That article didn't cite any specific source and didn't really have any evidence to go on other than a source, and that's just really kind of dicey. So I didn't really want to comment on it because it didn't have anything of substance in my mind. Now, looks like as of today or yesterday or whatever, with these crazy time zones now, that it was proven false. That Power Rangers will not be moving to Netflix, so they will continue on Nickelodeon, and they have not made a decision on what they're going to adapt next into Power Rangers, whether that's Go Buster, ToQger, or Ninja. But it did get me thinking about where Power Rangers is right now on the Netflix platform, and what I think they should actually do with it. Because, in my mind, what's going to happen is television as we know it now is going to cease to exist. And it's all going to be digital platforms like Netflix and Hulu, Amazon Prime, and so forth. Maybe not even a few years, but maybe a decade or so, that everything's going to be live streaming online, and you have to have an online subscription, and we're not going to be gathering around the television at 7 o'clock to watch whatever primetime special, that the entire season will be available in one day on Netflix. We can binge watch and worry for another 11 months whether we're going to see that show again or not. And while there's some positives and negatives to it, I do actually think that moving to Netflix would be a positive for Power Rangers for new episodes, and I think it is something they should go ahead and do. So I'm going to tell you guys all the reasons why I think that is the case, and I'm also going to talk about where Power Rangers is right now on Netflix and some issues that I have with it. So basically, this whole video is going to be about Netflix and Power Rangers and just everything that's going to be encompassed with that. First, where is Power Rangers on Netflix? So as of right now, you can get every episode from Day of the Dumpster all the way up to Legendary Battle. Not the extended edition for some reason, just the regular broadcast one. But nevertheless, every episode of Power Rangers with the exception of Dino Charge on there. Now, I think this is pretty great. You can go back and watch any episode that you want. Now, as far as like Time Force and all that, I believe they are the edited versions, with the exception of the Rancic line. I believe that's still intact, that's not that stupid music over somebody talking kind of stuff. But everything is there, and for some reason that I can't fathom, the revisioned episodes of Mighty Morphin is on there. I don't know what the benefit of having those on there is. I guess to learn from our mistakes. But I am kind of disappointed in a number of things. If you actually watch those episodes on high-definition television or even a high-definition monitor, you'll notice that the quality of the episodes is really, really poor. And I don't know what explains this exactly. Because I remember watching an episode of Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers, and I think it was the first episode, and I would watch it, and I'm like, man, this is so pixelated and grainy at the same time. What's with the quality of this episode? And as you kind of go down the line, all the episodes are like that until you really get to the HD seasons in Samurai Megaforce. They're crystal clear, look fine, no problems, but everything prior to HD Power Rangers just looks horrible. And, I even actually compared the Mighty Morphin Season 1 to the revisioned Mighty Morphin, and the quality is still bad. It seems to me that I don't know what transfers they put on there, whether they're DVD transfers, original masters, or heck, even VHS copies. But the quality in a lot of these Power Ranger seasons is pretty bad because a lot of them, they're grainy, a lot of muddied images, a lot not crisp and clean. They didn't obviously do anything, or at least got bad quality, masters or whatever on there to where it does look horrible in a number of episodes. So I would suggest that I think what Power Rangers needs for Netflix, or at least for future DVD releases or Blu-ray releases, is somebody needs to go back and digitally remaster them. Much in the same way they're doing with Star Trek Next Generation right now, what they did do with the original series, and what they do with every other movie. You always hear about this, digitally restoring them, making them better and stuff. Somebody needs to go back to the original film of Power Rangers, remaster it, make it better, clean up all the problems that they had. I'm not saying go special edition or anything, but for the digital media like this, and especially DVD releases, and I don't have any of the DVD releases by Shout Factory, so maybe Shout Factory's already done this. They've gone back to the original negatives and actually cleaned them up and made them better. I don't know, because again, I don't own them. I haven't been able to get the Legacy Collection, unfortunately, but somebody needs to go back and actually do that and preserve Power Rangers, make it pristine and better looking for future audiences and future generations, because right now it's kind of shoddy what's on Netflix and stuff. And the thing is, I have VHS tapes of my recordings off television, and they look so much better. But when you go watch an episode of Zeo on that thing, it's just like, ugh, what happened? What did you do? What is wrong? So they definitely need to go ahead and fix that. I will also say it's kind of odd here too, and by here I mean in Japan. So I have access to Netflix here in Japan, which actually started I think August, about the time that I got over here. And what's interesting is I can go on to Netflix right now here in Japan, and I can get the Gosager movie, the Tokyuger movie, and Superhero Taisen Z. I believe that's how you pronounce it. The odd thing is, I can't get any of the Power Ranger episodes I had back home, despite I'm paying for the exact same account. I get different content, but I do get these Super Sentai films, only 3 of them, but they only come in Japanese language and Japanese subtitles. Now, to contrast that, Forrest Gump, which I have on here, comes in English and Japanese dub, as well as English subtitles and Japanese subtitles. So wait a second, they'll translate Forrest Gump into Japanese, but they won't transfer or translate Gosager into English? That doesn't make any sense. Plus, again, as I said, I don't get any of the Power Ranger episodes over here, but I also don't get any of the Super Sentai episodes. I don't get Zyuranger, I don't get Jetman, I don't get Go Ranger. They don't have a single episode of Super Sentai available on Netflix. And I don't know about you guys, but for years, anytime I would call in with a problem to Netflix or send an email, I would always make sure to point out I want Super Sentai on Netflix. That's something I've always been saying to them, and it seems that both in Japan and America, they're not listening. Now, a lot of people will say that putting Zyuranger and Dairanger on DVD is a bad idea. I've heard people say it's like there's no real market, they're not going to make money, and by the time we get maybe the second or third set, people are going to lose interest because we have torrents and things like that. And I get that argument. And to that I say, well then, let's put it on digital media. Because I believe if you were to go ahead and put, say, any random Sentai, let me think of one, Bioman. Okay, just Bioman as a random one off the top of my head, on Netflix in Japanese and dubbed into English or subbed into English, however you want to go ahead and do it, then I certainly think that there would be an audience there for that. And so it makes me wonder why either Toei or Saban or whoever doesn't actually, or Shout Factory in this case, doesn't actually decide to put these shows on Netflix. Now, I know Shout Factory wants to sell DVDs, but Disney wants to sell DVDs too, and yeah, a lot of their movies are on Netflix, so I don't necessarily understand how it would be negative for Shout Factory, because if you want to watch Super Sentai, you're going to buy the DVDs and watch it online, especially if, say, Bioman is available streaming, but Dairanger's only available on DVD. You know, have it on there for a limited time until a DVD comes out, then you can buy a DVD and watch it whenever you want. And I think this would be a good opportunity for both series because they have dubbed Power Rangers into Japanese. They actually brought Power Rangers SPD over and dubbed that into Japanese with, it's just kind of a weird thing. It's like it was a Japanese show that was spliced with American footage only to be brought back to Japan and then dubbed into Japanese. It's kind of a weird thing when you think about it in that context. But I do find it odd that it's not available for streaming on Netflix here in Japan, and it's not available for streaming in the United States, and vice versa with any of the series. One of the things that I've talked about for a long time, and I've said this in previous videos, is that it's 2015, almost 2016. We need to be able to start putting that content out there for people to watch. Hollywood has it out for people who do torrents and upload videos to YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Well, you know how you would quash that? Put the content out there. There's no reason not to have that content available, especially on Netflix. You know there's an audience for it. How much is it going to cost to put the show on Netflix and subtitle it? Obviously not a lot because Shout Factory has done it. Tons of other things have happened. I mean, a lot of other shows have had that. I mean, there's an entire section of Netflix that's nothing but anime. And I've talked to my friends who are anime fans. They're like, I have no clue what the hell that is. I've never heard of that. I mean, anime that nobody's heard of in their lives is showing up on Netflix in America, and they're like, I don't know how that got on there. It's not popular, and we're talking about anime has like 13 episodes or something. So you're telling me you can have obscure anime, but you can't have full seasons of Power Rangers, which is something that people in America want, or excuse me, Super Sentai. That's something people want, is they want full seasons of Super Sentai. I mean, as much as I love Grown Ups and Spandex and TV Nihon, you know, do it yourself, guys. Don't get these guys do free fan subs. Do your own. Put it on put it on Netflix there for everybody to go ahead and watch, and then maybe you'll find a new audience in your product. I mean, they actually said that that Kevin Spacey, the what is it, House of Cards, they were able to turn people like that because they like Kevin Spacey and political dramas and put two and two together. It's like, oh, let's make this. Well, don't you think if people, got a chance to watch Super Sentai and binge watch that, like, oh, they like, because I don't know what people figure out for my Netflix account. Let's see. He's watching Power Rangers, he's watching the Cleveland Show, and he's watching Star Trek, he's watching Forrest Gump. What show should we make for this guy? I'd really like to know what their analytics tell them about me, which is odd because for some reason I always get recommendations for anime. I don't watch anime. I don't know where they're getting that. I never watch anime at all on my Netflix or otherwise. So just because I watch Power Rangers, they think I'm into anime. It's like saying, well, you love Lord of the Rings, so you must love Harry Potter, which I don't. I don't care about Harry Potter in the slightest. So I don't know whether their analytics is wrong. And frankly, I take a lot of anime and just one-star the hell out of it just so I can no longer get recommendations. Because if they say, well, he's one-starring it, so he hates it, because that's what one-star means, hate, then they won't ever give it to me anymore. So that's what I'm hoping. But even in Japan, well, I guess especially in Japan, I'm still getting recommendations for anime. Okay, so that's where we are right now on Netflix. We got poor versions of Power Rangers, that the quality is just horrible, and they've decided not to do the logical thing and bring Super Sentai over onto Netflix. I mean, at very least, Toei, can you at least put some sort of streaming media out there where it's just Super Sentai? Look at South Park Studios. They have every single episode except episode 201 and 202, but they have every episode of Netflix on, of South Park on South Park Studios, and yet you can't do something like that for Super Sentai? That's crazy. But as far as Power Rangers moving permanently to Netflix, I think that is a wonderful idea, and I think that's something they need to do sooner rather than later. Now, why do I think they need to go ahead and do that? Well, first off, you know what? I'm actually getting tired of having to wait every week to see an episode. Because here's the thing. I have not actually seen a single episode of Dino Charge on television this year. Why is that? Well, because of all the moving around I've been doing, I don't have access to a television that often. I have not had a DVR box since I think January, because unfortunately my wife makes me get rid of the cable after the Super Bowl, so I never get a chance to keep it between, say, February and August. So that's one problem right there, but of course that's my problem. And then, of course, now I'm here in Japan, I can't watch it. So, one of the reasons, of course, I have issues with the vlog series and keeping up is that I have to torrent everything or have to drag download everything. I can't watch anything live. Now, imagine how much easier that would be if I had a streaming service that's always connected to the internet, where I could take my laptop or my phone anywhere and I could be riding that train from here to Sapporo and watching Power Rangers Dino Charge on my phone, and not even that, but for the 4-hour train ride, watching a dozen episodes of Power Rangers on my phone. Um, I really think they need to switch to a Netflix format because it gives you instant access to it. Because Nickelodeon is obviously a channel I think just about everybody has. But even with the time schedule and the fact that they repeat so many episodes and show episodes out of order sometimes and all that, it's just more convenient and it's more user friendly to have on Netflix. All you gotta do is type it in, there it is, and you can watch any episode that you want. Because, back in the day, if you miss an episode, well, sorry, you have to wait for syndication or wait for it to come up later. But now it's kind of like you miss an episode and then it's gone. Like, for example, that episode between where they did the Simpsons and the Family Guy crossover, well, I saw no promotion for it. I knew it was coming. I didn't know when the date was, but I saw no promotion for it on Fox or anything. The episode came on, went off. I didn't know about it until 20 minutes after it aired because everybody was talking about how awesome it was. And then, of course, I asked the question, when are they going to show it again? The answer was, they didn't. To my knowledge, the episode between The Simpsons and Family Guy crossing over has never re-aired on television, and I did not get the opportunity to go ahead and see it. Now imagine if they did that with Power Rangers. Imagine if they did Forever Red, had one showing of that episode, and never showed it again, and you had to wait till it came out on DVD or wait on Netflix. But imagine it came out on Netflix, and you can watch it. Oh, there it is. It came on 20 minutes ago, and I completely didn't know. I did not know it was even on there. So I'm going to go watch it, and you can watch it as many times as you want. I mean, you see the benefit of that, even with DVRs nowadays, because again, even with the Simpsons Family Guy thing, I didn't know it was coming on, and if I don't know what's coming on, my DVR is not going to go ahead and record it. Especially, I don't even know if that was an episode of The Simpsons or Family Guy, but that's beside the point anyway. So, to have it on there, to have this instant access and rewatchability, I think is very important. And again, especially for people who are interested but can't pay for cable. I mean, I know a lot of people, it's like either cable or internet, and not both. There are a lot of families that are like that. I've met families who choose not to have a television, but they do choose to have internet. And I know this one family, they have 3 boys. They've never watched Power Rangers in their life because their parents don't own a television. Honest, they don't own a television at all. And I introduced them to Power Rangers, and they loved it. And now I'm upset for them because they can't watch it because they don't have a TV. And of course, they don't subscribe to Netflix either, so there's no way they can get access to it. So we need greater access to things like Power Rangers for everybody, adults and children, and especially in my case, because I kind of knew coming over here that it would be difficult for me to follow up on Power Rangers, except for torrents, because I just can't watch them. And of course, torrents technically are illegal, so in order for me to watch my favorite show, I have to technically do something illegal in order to go ahead and do it, and nothing about that sounds right. But if I had Netflix, I'm paying for it, so it's legal to watch it as much as I want and not have these problems. But I think even more importantly, if Power Rangers can move to Netflix, then I think Power Rangers has the opportunity to become an even better show. And why is that? Because television has standards and broadcasting and yada yada and all that kind of stuff. And while Netflix does have a lot of standards, let's be honest, there are a lot of shows on Netflix you couldn't get away with on standard cable television. Even premium stuff like HBO is kind of going away from the stuff that's on there. Look at Daredevil. I think Daredevil's the best example of this. Daredevil is not a show that would be picked up by any major network. I don't think ABC, NBC, Fox, none of them would pick them up. It'd probably be picked up by HBO, but even in that case, if it's on HBO, not a lot of people have HBO or it's not worth paying for HBO at this point. But you have Netflix, you have a much greater audience to get a hold of. And I think Daredevil did a lot of things that you just really couldn't do on network television or anything. Look at the violence that's there, the chances that they took, the stories that they were telling, the characters that they had. I mean, my wife, who's not really into superheroes, I mean, she thinks, Thor is handsome and all that, but beyond that, she's not interested in stuff whatsoever that's related to superheroes. And she saw Daredevil and she loved it. She thought it was too violent, but that's just her. And of course, her being pregnant at the time didn't help. But the point is that they were able to do things on Daredevil you just couldn't get away with. Now imagine Power Rangers going to Netflix. That would be the game changer and the opportunity for Power Rangers to go to the next level. Somebody commented on one of my previous videos on how I have high standards for Power Rangers. And I do. The show has been on for 20 plus years, and I'm going to be honest, any show that's been able to be on that long, that consistently, needs to get better with every year. That you learn from the mistakes from the first 20 years, and you get better and better. And I think Power Rangers needs to do that. You just can't be the same thing over and over and over again. That was one of the major problems with Megaforce, is that it was a show that was trying to bank off nostalgia without being any better, without growing, without trying to be better than what it was previously. And I think Netflix is that opportunity, because if you go on the Netflix, then you don't have certain restrictions. Because I imagine that right now, Power Rangers on Nickelodeon has a certain guidelines and rules that it has to follow because they're on Nickelodeon. Much in the same way that when Power Rangers was on ABC and all that, it's like, okay, you're on ABC now, you have to have these rules and restrictions. And a good example of that is kind of like when Power Rangers Wild Force was in pre-production, Disney didn't like the idea of Cole's parents being dead and all that kind of stuff, but they eventually got away with it because, well, Disney didn't care, pretty much. But now you can have Power Rangers on Netflix and not have to worry about silly guidelines and restrictions by the network. That I think you'd be free to write whatever stories that you want without those types of restrictions. And Power Rangers, I think, can eventually move from being a quote-unquote children's show to something, I think, for more mature audiences. Now, do I need to go out for the complete hardcore adult audience? In a perfect world, you would have two versions of Power Rangers. You would have the standard show that is for children, and you would have the adult version, which is more, gritty, more realistic, and more aimed towards a mature audience. But what I mean is, like, move up from appealing to 6 and 7-year-olds and appeal to 12, 13, 14-year-olds. Start moving your demographic up, because I don't think that you can go on the Netflix with Power Rangers and still keep your audience that young, that you eventually have to go ahead and move up. And somebody has told me that children's programming is greater than it has ever been on television right now. And I don't think Power Rangers needs to be in that market anymore. If there's all these great shows that are coming out there for children, then why doesn't Power Rangers try to be the great teenager show or young adult show? Why can't it just move up the ranks and get better? That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's been on for 20 years. It's time to progress a little bit. And we've had those moments where Power Rangers has gotten better over the years, and it's progressed. Then it's dipped down and back up and dipped down and back up. And right now, it's it's going back up. It's ascending once again. Now, who knows when it's going to go ahead and descend at this point? But the fact is, I think if you were on Netflix, you could do more that I think would make it a better show. Because, excuse me, like, let's take, okay, here's another good, Forever Red. If Linkara's reporting is accurate, the network got involved with making Forever Red a two-parter. That Forever Red had to worry about being in syndication. That they said, well, we're going to do it as an hour-long episode and then break it up into a two-parter for syndication. But the network stepped in and said, we're not going to go ahead and do that. Well, imagine if they did Forever Red on Netflix. Well, then they wouldn't have to worry about that. They could do their hour-long episode and do whatever the hell they want without a dumb restriction like that. So, why doesn't Power Rangers move on this? Why doesn't Saban Brands go, you know what, that's a pretty damn good idea. Let's move over to Netflix. I mean, my biggest fear is they will get the contract with Nickelodeon renewed. And the thing is that I don't think Nickelodeon's going to be healthy for them. Because Here's the thing: Nickelodeon will let certain shows do whatever they want, and shows be darker than Power Rangers. I mean, they're going to let SpongeBob do whatever the hell they want to go ahead and do, and it's shown for the last couple of years. And Ninja Turtles, while the show is decent, it is a lot darker than any of its predecessors. A lot more consequences, a lot more despair and bleakness than anything else. And I'd like to see Power Rangers not have as many restrictions. I mean, I just get the feeling that there are more restrictions on Power Rangers than SpongeBob and Ninja Turtles combined. And listen to that for a second, that they're restricting Power Rangers. Now, I have no evidence of this, but if you just watch the show and see the things that they're doing, it's just like, yeah, I can tell there's some meddling in there. I mean, I went off in the last episode about the whole Julian thing. How much do you want to bet that that was some sort of mandate by a studio that you have to have a lesson in the episode? Because I'm assuming that a lot of these networks have to keep up their licenses or certifications or whatever, and you have to do certain things like that in certain shows. And I would not be a bit surprised if they say, okay, we have to do this, let's put in Power Rangers because it's Power Rangers, which is a slap across the face if I have ever heard it. And again, this is all speculation, all that, but I believe if Power Rangers moved to Netflix, it could only make the show better. I don't see how it would go ahead and make it worse. They have more flexibility in how many episodes they can do. They don't have to extend things over a 2-year period that should not be extended. I mean, there's no reason why any of these shows need to be 2 years, why there's only 20 episodes per year. There's no reason why you can't go back to the old days and do 40, 50 episodes in a single year and next year move on. I mean, I think that causes more problems. But if you could do 40 episodes on Netflix stream and have everybody binge it within a couple of weeks, then again, I think that's going to be better for Power Rangers overall. I just don't see a downside to Power Rangers being on Netflix. Granted, you might have a smaller following, but when has that stopped any show on Netflix? I mean, frankly, I think all the stuff on Netflix that's the original series, other than Daredevil, is crap. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't care about a lawyer from Breaking Bad having his own show. I don't care about Female Prison with Kate Mulgrew as the chef. And I don't care about Kevin Spacey trying to take over the White House. I don't care about any of those shows. Daredevil's the only one I give a damn about. And I would love to go ahead and see Power Rangers on there, because if they can do amazing things with Daredevil and make people actually like that show, then imagine what they could do with Power Rangers. So I think I've talked enough about this. I think I've made my point very clear. But just to reiterate and make sure everybody understands, clean up Power Rangers that's already on there, put Super Sentai on there, and move Power Rangers fully into Netflix and have it stay there permanently. That's ultimately what I have to go ahead and say, and I want to know what you guys think about this as well. So definitely leave me your comments. Should Power Rangers move to Netflix? What are the pros and cons about that? And again, what do you think about it? Otherwise, I want to thank you guys for listening. Have a good evening, and the tavern is now closed.